How many of you guys have been playing this, by the way? I'm going to post a poll. I want to know.
In the year 2008, Electronic Arts unleashed a pair of games that continue to resonate with fans even today. The gorgeous Mirror's Edge from DICE, and Visceral Games' Dead Space. As a dark sci-fi horror experience, Dead Space quickly amassed a following and would go on to receive multiple sequels and spin-offs. Despite its success, however, after the third game, the series was shelved. Now in the year 2023, Dead Space lives again thanks to EA Motive. In this full-on remake, Dead Space merges many of the latest innovations of the Frostbite engine with a fresh new coat of paint and overhauled game design. But just how much has the game truly changed, and what does this technology bring to the table?
See, like, I don't think the original game looked that bad. That's a 2008 game on the right. That's crazy. It really aged pretty well.
That's what we're here to find out. In creating this video, I had an opportunity to speak with two key figures from EA Motive who shared deeper insights into the technology used to create Dead Space, which we'll be discussing today. Next, I'll investigate and explain the issues with image quality that are extremely apparent, especially on PlayStation 5. Then I'll take you on a journey through the first hour of this new game, directly comparing it against the original game.
Like, there you can see improvements to detail mainly, but I think the lighting engine from back in the day looked really, really good. There's a lot more detail in the remake for sure, but the OG didn't look bad to begin with.
Running on PlayStation 3. Curious to see what's changed and how it stacks up to the original? Then this segment is for you. With all that in mind then, let's get started.
Yeah, Dead Space holds up, just the remake looks 400 times better. Yeah, it's like, before it was good, now it's great.
This comes from an unusual place.
What you see around the edges, though, that anti-aliasing, or there's just aliasing, there is no anti-aliasing, is the biggest problem with it. The OG version of the game, even to this day on PC, has extreme problems with aliasing.
Was built from the technology powering the Tiger Woods games, created between the year 2000.
Do you guys remember the South Park episode on the Tiger Woods game? Oh no, he pulled out the prenup power-up. Where'd you get that? Oh, back at the lawyer office level.
In 2007. But despite this rather unusual connection, it's a very different experience. Beautiful, dynamic shadows and moody lighting help to create a memorable and atmospheric journey for players. And perhaps most surprising of all,
awesome, Sam. Thanks for coming by.
Well on both Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, a rare feat for the era. Through a modern lens, Dead Space does show its age, but what the team managed to create at the time remains surprisingly striking even now.
It's so funny to me that this is the same engine that they used for the Tiger Woods golf games. Like, you look at this and you're like, wow, it's aged so well. It must have been running on an amazingly high-tech or crazy expensive engine, very specialized. And then you find out that it's the same engine they built like a bunch of golf games in. You're like, oh, okay. It's kind of, you know what? It tells me, I think it's more about the team than it is about the tools.
Since its release, however, technology has evolved significantly. 2 console generations have passed, and the Frostbite engine has become the de facto solution for most of EA's studios. It was a perfect time to revisit the series. According to senior producer Philippe Ducharme, from the beginning the goal was to completely rebuild the original game using the Frostbite engine while respecting its legacy. It would include modern graphics features such as vastly improved lighting and atmospherics, but one of the driving factors was to create a singular, seamless USG Ishimura. The Ishimura would no longer be divided up into sections, rather the player can now freely explore, and the game would need to be balanced to take this into account. Technical director David Robillard noted that, prior to this project, seamless fully streamed environments were not a strength of the Frostbite engine, and in fact in building Dead Space, many people were pulled in to make it work.
Didn't they force them to use the Frostbite engine for Mass Effect Andromeda? I'm pretty sure that was like the big problem with that game, was that they forced them to use that engine. and it was not prepped for it at all. So I believe them when they say that it's not a strength of the engine. I buy that. Yeah. Fact check true.
Work. This not only serves the project at hand, but should also benefit future Frostbite games as well. Once we get to the comparison section, you'll see more of this in action and how it differs from the original game, but this is really one of the biggest changes. The ship was rebuilt in such a way that it's now more physically plausible. The team actually created a gray box version of the Ishimura using the original map assets from the 2008 game. It quickly became evident that many aspects of the original ship design simply didn't make sense when presented as a whole. What this means in practice is that the Ishimura now...
So, like, I would imagine, you know, they had areas of the ship that were like 5 times too wide, and so it would have stretched outside of the ship's constraints, so they had to rework that stuff. So that's kind of cool that they actually reworked it so that it could actually work as a ship itself. That's kind of fun. I will also say this is one thing that has made me really appreciate like Star Citizen, because you can hop on ships like not quite the size of the Ishimura. They have that huge Kraken one that does anyone play Star Citizen here? Does anyone know if that Kraken is out yet? Has that released yet? It's like the big $1,800 ship. Star Citizen cringe. Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. Not been released. Okay. So it won't for 2 years. Oh, Jesus. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I hope that they get that thing out because it's pretty cool. But like the Kraken is not the size of the Ishimura, but it's freaking massive. And it's an in-game ship that you can fly. You need a crew of like 80 plus people to run it. It's insane.
Now feels more spacious and logical in its design, yet still...
Oh, look at that. Graffiti, guys. Even in the future, we have to deal with graffiti. Unbelievable. I had to listen to like a brain dead take from a college professor one time where they were saying that graffiti on public property and private property should be a right to protect the arts. They were literally saying if somebody comes up with a Sharpie and wants to graffiti or put art on your like laptop, even though it's your private property, they should be allowed to do that because it protects the arts. I remember sitting in class and I was like, I found him! The stupidest person on earth! I found him! That's insane! Yeah, I was like, you know what? That's bold. That's a bold take. You did a survey a couple days ago. What were the results? In general, kind of what I expected. Let me say this. While a lot of people, we can look at it here in a few minutes, but while a lot of people were down to look at swapping back to Twitch, there were a lot of people also that said they would not follow us to Twitch and that they were just not interested. They would be like really, really bummed about it. So what we're doing is we're going to like chat with members of Twitch and we're going to see if they can make like a really good offer that will grease the wheels more. But as of right now, you know, we're doing well here on YouTube. We got 400 plus people in here. That's crazy. You know, on Twitch right now, we'd be in like the top 0.1% of streamers if this were on Twitch. So like we're doing well, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, you know, we're vibing, we're chilling. Yes, plus 400 plus people. Please like the stream. Like the stream, or I'll move to Twitch. Is that what we do now to get people to like the stream? Like, or I'm going to Twitch. Luke Stevens broke the record for the most likes on any stream in history. Okay, that's funny. Okay, anyway.
Feels true to the original. One interesting example, in the original game, the medical center that appears in chapters 2 and 5 are completely separate maps. They essentially mirrored the geometry and then made changes to suit the different chapters. In the remake, however, all of this is integrated into the singular environment, and layers are used to change the environment based on player progression. Of course, transforming the ship into a fully seamless environment required some changes to the way encounters play out. As you explore and re-explore areas of the ship, enemies can and will attack you at random, or at least it might seem that way. You see, this is in fact the result of what the team calls the Intensity Director, which ties directly into the new level streaming in how they handle the player. According to David, they've essentially broken the ship up into detached sublevels, and each of these sublevels can have further subdivisions within it. Level data is streamed in and out based on camera and player position, and the rooms the player inhabits all have logical meta information which the game can track. By tracking or monitoring the progress and position of the player then, the game can basically spin up any number of events, ranging from simply rattling a nearby vent to sending swarms of enemies their way. Seamless level streaming and the intensity director then are
The intensity director, what was that game that like sold itself on having an AI that automatically like adjusted difficulties and encounters and stuff? There was a game where that was like the selling point. What am I thinking of? Alien Isolation sounds good. I think Left 4 Dead also did it. Yeah, it's like where they watch you and then they sold it on like the AI of the game can learn from how you're playing to adjust how the alien attacks you. So if they notice that you're hiding behind cover a lot, then they'll start to sneak up behind you. If they notice that you're really bad about checking up in vents, they'll start coming through the vents. Stuff like that. It's kind of cool. Kind of a cool idea. Who knows if it actually works. But this, I mean, this just sounds like they probably are tracking how often you get jumped and then they're adjusting spawn rates accordingly. It's nothing like breathtaking or generation defining, but it's interesting. You can't have text and emotes on the same message. Yeah, YouTube has weird things like that. Ooh. I will say one of the things about moving to Twitch is, dear God, the chat would be so much better. The chat on YouTube is broken as hell. You notice I have to have this like whole thing pulled up for chat here. This is like this right here is just kind of a browser source because it's the link to the chat when you pop it out of the web page, and then that's just pulled up as its own asset here. That's it. Like, because chat bots just don't work on YouTube. They like stagger, they get caught, and they glitch out constantly. It's like a big issue. Twitch is mean to me. How is Twitch mean to you? OBS is way better. This is running through OBS. Yeah, no, chat bots don't work properly when you have a good number of people in your chat on YouTube. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just my channels, but it's bad. Use chroma key and filters and filter the gray out. Or maybe I could do the background green and filter that. Yeah, I can try.
two key elements which really define this remake. These have a huge impact on the overall pacing and feel of playing Dead Space, and I think overwhelmingly it's a very positive change. And this brings us to our first comparison point with the original 2008 release of Dead Space. So, early in the original game, once you've replaced the broken tram car and installed the data board, you'll be asked to make your way to the medical sector. In the original version, once you reach the flight deck's tram station, you're presented with a shop here on the right, or the workbench against the far wall
That
for
sort of works.
upgrading your equipment. The only way forward at this point is using the tram system itself. So you climb aboard, activate the central panel,
Look at Rocky.
and the game begins to seamlessly
Wow.
load the next chapter. It's well executed, but in reality you're basically watching a loading screen between the two different tram stations. Once the loading completes, the camera then pulls out, and you'll find yourself at the medical tram station where you can continue your journey.
It's cool. I want to
In the
hear how the
remake, however,
PlayStation 5
Notice
sucks.
how upon arrival at the flight deck tram station, the bench that was previously situated against the leftmost wall has been replaced with a door. Rendering feature of the engine. I have my feelings on FSR2 as it's used on consoles, but really in this case, the resolution isn't the real issue. No, the actual problem here relates to variable rate.
God, that's bad. Oh no. Yeah, this is in 4K, so we're maxed out. Look at the textures on this wall. Look at it close when he goes back through it. That's bad.
The real issue. No, the actual problem here relates to variable
Ugh.
rate shading. Now, this is a buzzword you may have heard around the launch of the new consoles, but the idea is to save on performance by varying your shading rate dynamically across the frame, sort of based on what's being displayed. Conceptually, the renderer should retain the full shading rate of 1:1 pixel for well-lit areas, while darker scenes can use the reduced rate with larger 2x2 or 4x4 blocks. The feature is enforced across every single platform, however, but the software VRS solution utilized on PlayStation 5 has a serious problem. It basically ruins image quality. Here's an example of what I mean.
Wow.
Essentially, darker areas of the image use more extreme VRS, resulting in serious pixelation,
Dude.
which actually also seems to scale with the internal rendering resolution. The result is this messy, noisy, pixely look in all of the shadowed areas.
That's bad. That's way worse than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, hopefully that gets patched. I mean, from what it sounds like, this is the only way they're getting performance mode to work on the PlayStation 5. So I don't know. Maybe they just cut it out and then remove performance mode. I don't know.
Of the game, and there's a lot of shadow in Dead Space, of course. If you look closely, it almost resembles something you might have seen on the Switch, kind of like Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus.
I love that he says Wolfenstein like that. I think he lives in Germany. I think I remember him saying something about that. He like lives in Germany, so he pronounces all the German stuff properly. Wolfenstein.
It's definitely not a good look. The good news is that the dev team has officially acknowledged the issue and are working on a patch to improve things on console while
To disable VRS on PC. Okay.
offering the option to disable VRS entirely on PC. So with any luck, this issue will be sorted soon. If you can't wait for that patch though and need to make a choice right now, I'd recommend playing on Xbox Series X over PS5. But if you're looking for a more comprehensive comparison between consoles, Oliver will be releasing a video.
Yeah, it's just the PS5. It's bad when the Xbox Series S looks way better than the PS5. Like, that's rough.
One day after this one. So
The PS5 in performance mode too. Wow.
keep an eye out on the DF channel. I, however, would like to move on to comparisons against the original game.
I mean, all told, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That's pretty rough. He took my thing.